Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifestor, and I'm sure you are too, because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing. What I'm discussing in this video is the premise of unconditional love. I know a lot of people don't necessarily believe that there's a such thing as loving others unconditionally. And I believe the biggest reason that we have this misconception is that we feel as though if we're saying we love someone unconditionally, then that means that we have to have them in our lives. That means we have to cooperate with them. That means that we're willing to compromise with them. We're willing to tolerate them to some degree, right? But unconditional love runs so much deeper, right? It runs so much deeper in the way that I can easily look around a crowd. I can easily look around a room of people and say, hey, I love people unconditionally all the time. I'm very introverted, so a lot of people will be like, what, you really do? And the answer is like, yes, I really do. And it's because for me, unconditional love is not the same as unconditional presence. So just because we are saying that we love someone unconditionally or saying that we care about people with no conditions around it whatsoever is not the same as saying that we need to have them in our space, that we need to have a life where they are embedded deeply into it. A lot of people may deal with this with different family members and stuff. And I've been on all types of message boards and social media sites and looking at comments and videos. And I'll see a common theme amongst people of conflating unconditional love with unconditional presence. It's like you can feel like that about, say it's your parents, or say it's your siblings, or say it's your cousins, or your aunts, or your uncles, or whatever. A lot of people don't like to do family get-togethers and stuff like that, and they have this thing where they go no contact and they cut people off and stuff. And it became more of a prevalent thing, kind of like in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. That was a big deal. You know, people are not acting right. They're not being what you want them to be. Just cut them off, right? And while I don't judge that aspect, because you never know what other people are dealing with when it comes to trauma that they've experienced at the hands of other people. So that's not the part that's being judged. But at the same time, I feel like when we decide that we're not going to unconditionally love those people that we were connected to and around us, we're robbing ourselves from a level of grace that we want to also be given to some degree. Because the requirements for being loved and cared about should not be perfection. It should not be a checkbox list. You can be loved if you do this, that, and that. Love should not require a performance, right? Love should just be. I know a lot of times I hear people say that if they're not providing, or if they're not protecting, or if they're not, being supportive or whatever it is for their families, then they have absolutely no value. And even if they have felt that way in many instances, that is not the way that I see unconditional love for other people. I see it as something that is given so freely that it brings peace and tranquility to you, because you're able to love people with ease and effortlessness. And you're not worried about unconditional presence, because that's not what you're offering. So when you decide, I do love people unconditionally, or I'm going to love this family member unconditionally, I'm going to give them my love no matter what we've ever been through, the idea of giving out unconditional presence is completely taken off the table. But the funny part about it is that you tend to make room for people a lot more, because you've sort of released yourself from the strenuous notion of people have to do something really specific to deserve my love, right? There are people that are no longer in my life, that I no longer have any contact with, that I no longer even need to have a conversation with, based on what we've been through and what the trauma has created over time. And it's just what it is. But I can still say that I unconditionally love them, because I myself want to receive that from other people. And I myself don't believe that I should have to jump through hoops or perform or be this or be that, or, make a really specific performance, I guess that's the best way to say it, so that people can say, okay, now she deserves love. Now she deserves to have care. Because the thing about unconditional love is that it's positive energy that's flowing from you to someone else. And just because you are not in a position to give that to that particular person, it doesn't mean that they're not going to become better people at some point, or that it was just not a situation to where you were like mismatched in energies or something. And that unconditional love that you're sending them, they have the right to experience that with other people, with the presence also added to it. So I think in life, we have to really get away from the idea that our love and appreciation is something that's so special that we need to hold it back from people. I think our love and appreciation is so great and it's so bold that we should be always willing to give it to everyone. And no matter who it is, give it to everyone. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that you have to invite these people into your home. It doesn't mean that you have to have dinner with them. It doesn't mean that you have to go have coffee with them. It doesn't mean that you have to invite them to your milestone events in your life. It doesn't even mean that they're going to support you in anything that you have going on. But what it means is that you're not going to clutter yourself and clog yourself with holding back something that's naturally flowing through you and to you and through you all the time, and stopping it from going into one direction, which is really holding up you from experiencing the unconditional love that you want to experience in this life. So you got to think about yourself as a vessel for love and appreciation at all times, right? And when we're allowing it to flow through us, that means we get to experience it everywhere we go. And we get to experience it in a way that if we are someone that people get along with, if we do have a good presence, we're not pushed out. And so we get to spend time with the people and we get to be unconditionally loved by them. But if we're walking around being hung up on really specific acts, and somebody owes us something and they have to, perform or show us a certain thing or come with some kind of apology or whatever it is that we think other people owe us, when really people don't really owe us anything, then we are doing our own selves a disservice by holding back and stopping that love, that unconditional love that can be flowing towards those people or places at any given time. Because I can honestly say you never lose anything by showing people that sort of grace, even if it's from a distance. You don't lose anything when you show people unconditional love. You gain. But it's so hard for us to wrap our heads around, this person did this person is like this person is intolerable, they have all these negative traits and they did all these awful things. Why should I let any of my love flow to me and through me and head off to them? And the issue is that it's doing it anyway. But the love is always flowing. The unconditional love is always flowing anyway. So for us to hold it back, that means we have to take an extra step. That means we have to put an extra act towards it and like hold our breath almost when we're thinking about them or we're in their presence or we have to have a conversation related to them or something. We have to like tighten ourselves up and restrict the flow of the love that is already coming through us on a regular basis. And it's good to remember that just because we're giving out unconditional love, it doesn't mean that it's unconditional presence too. So if you can separate those two items, you can find yourself being in a more happy and peaceful and joyful space, because you're not caught up in people have to perform, they have to do this, they have to give me an apology, they have to tell me this, they have to be better people, they have to stop doing this or stop doing that. None of those things are your concern, because we all come to this earth with a really specific journey, a really specific purpose that we are following up and we're going through the motions of at any given time. So for us to think that we know what other people need to be doing at any given time, we know how they should be reacting. We don't even know what's going on in the inside of people that are sitting right in the vicinity as us, right? So say somebody that you're holding some kind of grudge against or some kind of negative attitude towards, you're the only person that's feeling that grudge and negative attitude. Even if by chance those moments where it touches them in some kind of way and they can feel what you're trying to give out, they don't have to receive it or accept it. They don't have to make it a part of their lives. And so you can be putting out that vitriol and stopping your unconditional love from flowing all you want, and they can be wherever they are, being happy as you don't know what. They've forgiven, they've let go, they've moved on with their lives, and they just said, I'm just going to be this way. And if you want to be whatever way you are, then you be whatever way you are, right? So a lot of times we get the idea of unconditional love being misconstrued with, I'm happy-go-lucky with everybody that's in my space. And that's not the case, right? And it's more recently I heard someone talking about this, and it really dawned on me. They were talking about someone who I truly love dearly and saying that, this person unconditionally loved people. And I was thinking about their ways, and I was like, I never really saw their personality in that way, that they unconditionally love people, but they did. And they always felt like, everybody deserves to be loved and appreciated no matter what was going on or what was happening in their lives. And even if there were things to be said about the person or things that they thought was negative, they never ever say, this person doesn't deserve love. They don't deserve appreciation. They don't deserve care. And so some people automatically have that going on, but some of us other people that, we have these real strict boundaries and ways that we operate our lives, we have to really tap into this when we think about it, and we have to tap into it when we're operating in our everyday experience. Because I personally am really good at turning that faucet off. If I think somebody's doing a certain thing or being a certain way and it's trying to affect me negatively, the first thing I want to do is let me turn that faucet off, because my unconditional love is so important. You don't get to have my love, right? But what I'm also doing is holding myself up. I'm constipating myself, for lack of a better term, and not allowing that love to flow through me, because it's really not my business who it gets to flow to, right? But what I can control is the idea of unconditional presence. I can love you from a distance. I can show you unconditional love no matter what's going on in your life. I can practice non-judgment of what's happening in your life and what you're doing. And I can also decide not to have you in my immediate presence. And the thing about it is, what I find is that when you let that unconditional love flow a whole lot more, the people being in your presence bothers you a whole lot less. It's like it goes hand in hand. It's like, because you're holding back, their presence bothers you just that much more, because you're so focused on them being who they are and not being what you want them to be, or not performing in the way that you want them to perform. So it's so hard for you to be in their presence. But if you start letting that unconditional love flow and you take off those stipulations on everybody and everything, you make it to a point where their presence just doesn't even bother you. And that's not to say that you need to go out and do everything together and buddy and text each other all day and have phone calls, but you won't be bothered by them being around you, because you've realized that your unconditional love flowing is way more important than anything that you think they've done to you. You should never give people that much control over what you experience in this life, and holding up yourself in that way of letting that beautiful expression flow through you is another way that we give away our power to other people, when we should really be just relaxing and going with the flow of things. So this is not to say let quote unquote bad people into your space, but just remember that you're never affecting or impacting people the way that you are impacting yourself when you hold back that love and appreciation for others and for their journey and for what they're going through and for what they've experienced and for the trauma that they've, had to endure. You are never holding other people up. You're only holding yourself up. Anyway, unconditional love does not mean unconditional presence. So you can give it, and you do not have to be amongst it all the time. It's another level of appreciating people and being more human in this experience that we're having here. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.